Please rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Village Board meeting of July 24th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Possession.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Stacy.
Here.
Terry.
Here.
Giannotti.
Here.
In your packet, you have the minutes of the last meeting. If there are no changes or additions, can we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Possession.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Giannotti.
Abstain.
And village clerk's report.
The Knights of Columbus are requesting permission to hold their annual Intellectual Disabilities Fund Drive in the village from Friday, September 15th to Sunday, September 17th. It's a fundraiser that they request and do every year. A copy of the request is attached, and a copy of the standard approval letter that I usually send every year is also attached. That I'll forward to them as long as there aren't any objections or changes by the board. It's the standard that they can't solicit on Route 1, have to wear safety vests, property owner's permission to solicit it.
Anyone have any objections? Okay. Does anyone in the audience wish to address the board? Okay, under my report, under the fire inspections, the company who's doing our inspections had forwarded us a template that they're going to use for the inspection reports. We went over it, had a few modifications, and it's been updated, and we're pretty much going to go into the final phase. The first inspections are being scheduled for Beecher Plaza and Midland States Bank. Next we discussed at the last meeting having an ordinance to amend the liquor code to adjust the population requirements for certain classes of liquor licenses to reduce the number available. So the reclassification will reduce Class A's by 1 and beer only by 1. Any new licenses being issued after that would require an ordinance change before the license could be issued, and it would come before the board. So if you've had a chance to review that.
And this would take care of the one that's, I guess, I don't want to say out there, but in the
There's
works.
one beer license kind of hanging around, and then there's one full A license hanging around, a full license.
But we have one that's, someone that's in the process of trying to, this covers the one
There's
that's.
a B and C, right,
Okay.
there's a beer and wine, that one is still out there.
Okay.
And they actually have turned in their application, they're ready to go, except for they have to finalize their lease, that's the only thing we're waiting for. So, that one was not included in this, since we knew that was coming. Does anyone wish to make a motion to approve that ordinance?
Is there an ordinance number?
1390.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1390, amending the liquor code to adjust for population requirements.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call?
Giannotti.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Possession.
Yes.
Okay. And then there is an enclosed post and schedule for review regarding the job ad for our village administrator position. We'd like to start recruiting by August 1st. So, do they need to approve the ad?
Does that say consider a motion on there?
No, you just put consider approval. Basically, we're just gonna, we're gonna get the advertising process started around
Or if
August
there's any
1st.
comments on the post,
Mhm.
we'd like to know about it before we post.
So just the third line down, the very third sentence down, it says it has transition. It is has.
Oh, thank you.
Bob's on his way out, I guess, is still doing the spell check. So that just be cleaned up.
He was not hired for typing skills.
That's,
No.
guy knows his numbers, no one can.
But we looked it over too, because well, you know what, that was probably from the review process, because I kept telling him, no, move this here, change this, move that there, reword that. Alrighty.
And then, are we putting any minimum requirements in it?
We actually have, is it an ordinance form? or on our website of what the requirements are for a village administrator.
That's a good point. We should probably mention something in here.
Or, I mean, it
Yeah.
said if it's on the website, just refer to the website for a job, because, I mean, I know, like,
'Cause it's
when we used to do
like-
public work stuff, indeed, you get hundreds. I mean, so I imagine something like this, you
Yeah.
guys would just
Yeah,
get
we're not gonna
an
do this one
atrocious
on
amount.
D. We're not gonna do this one on D. This one will go into the associations, state and national.
Okay.
I'll do minimum of bachelor's plus
I mean, whatever it
5 years.
says.
But it depends on what our ordinance says.
Okay,
Yeah,
but that, our requirements are listed by ordinance.
Yeah,
I don't know if there might be a minimum, I can't remember. It's been so
there
long since
are
I've read it.
specific requirements, because I looked it up once.
Okay, well, then they have to be in here.
Yeah.
The only qualifications in the actual ordinance are preference shall be given to the level of experience, training, and education in the field of local government management in the appointment process. And there's a formal employment agreement that gets approved. I think the actual job description though states the requirements
Okay,
in it.
because I know it required a bachelor's degree, I saw that somewhere in there.
I think that's in the job description
Okay,
for that position.
okay,
Okay, got it.
alrighty. Duly noted. Alright, and that's it for my report. Finance and Administration Committee, trustee Kraus.
Treasurer's report for the month ending June 30th. Is she back? I can't see her.
I'm back
Donna.
here. The June month-end total of the village accounts, $8,071,039. The total of the commission and special accounts, $241,432.52. The total combined, $8,312,503.91. The month end in general for June, $1,434,858.77. And the total of the commission non-AP payments for the month of June, $360,357.47. You can see that, some of the bills were coming in for 4th of July. That totaled $81,773.05. Most notable in that amount was the deposit for the beer for $43,000. But other than that, very standard bills for the month. There are no questions, that would end my report.
Just point out, last year the general was at 1.195, right now we're at 1.434. So we're still showing appreciable growth in the corporate account.
So I make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second?
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Possession,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Genati.
Yes.
And then I'll make a motion approving the list of bills for payment in the amount of $88,403.74.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second?
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Genati,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yeah.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Possession.
Yes. And the Finance Committee met with the Public Works Committee last week, the week before, to go over the financing plan for the Dixie Highway Water Main Crossover Project. We came up with the payment plan, which is in the packet, and also went over where we get the funds for the 20% local match for the Penfield STP project. So, if anybody has any questions about that? Liability insurance pool financial dashboard is enclosed for review. Each of the circle numbers in the report are earnings which are retained by the pool for future use. That's all I have.
Okay. Public Buildings and Properties, Parks and Recreation Committee, trustee Giannotti.
Thank you. Project Pickle update?
I will be meeting with American Seal Coating this Friday at 11 a.m. to do a final layout, and they're looking to begin the project the following week.
And then, well, instead, waiting on fall.
Yeah, nothing to report on that.
Okay. Village receives grant fund in the amount of $26,562 for the HVAC and the food stand. The 4th of July Commission has been billed the difference of $938. And then, public safety facility bid process update. The project will be ready for bid by the next meeting, so we need to decide when to bid it out based on construction cost. This will be discussed at the next board meeting.
You're the chairman, if you wanna defer to the second
Yes.
meeting in August, so you can be here, yes.
So yes, I will be out of town for training for work next meeting, so does anyone have an objection to just wait until the end of the month? Okay, so then we'll move it to the second board meeting. And that concludes my report.
Alright. Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee, trustee Gardner.
Thank you. Building Department monthly report is enclosed for your review. The July 27th meeting of the PZC has been canceled due to a lack of agenda items. And the new zoning ordinance steering committee will be meeting on Thursday, August 44th, either after the regular PZC meeting or at 7 p.m. in the event we don't have a meeting. We plan to have material to review at that time, and that concludes my report.
Public Safety Committee, trustee Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. The police department and the code enforcement monthly reports are enclosed. Chief, anything you'd like to add? No. And EMA monthly report is also enclosed. Deputy Director Murray, anything you'd like to add?
No, sir.
I would like to, everything's moving forward, and with the National Night Out, so all that stuff's lining up. Thanks for everybody who's emailed me back, volunteering. We'll have a lot of stuff for you to do, so. And then,
You want to tell them the date and time?
it's gonna be August 1st, Tuesday, from 6 to 8.
8:30.
8:30.
Just one question, publicity. Is there anything Village Hall can do to help publicize the event?
We've got it on the board.
Okay, you can fly
Officer Sipple's gonna be driving around in a golf cart on the weekend passing out flyers, and we have, David doesn't know it yet, but he's gonna be passing them out in the businesses, in the upcoming week.
Okay,
By the way, he is also gonna be the star in the dunk tank, because typically, code enforcement officers are not the most liked people to go. So, David volunteered to go in first, and I believe trustee Kraus agreed to monitor it as well, right?
And we'll make sure the rules
Make sure he doesn't get
of
hurt.
dunking are followed. Oh, it hurt? That's probably an insurance problem.
so if you get the lieutenant in there, that'd be like a twofer.
How much money you guys looking to raise?
Oh, yeah.
Chief, would you guys be interested in having us bring the 4th of July sign up?
That'd be wonderful.
Alright, I'll get on it this week.
Our annual meeting for the Board of Directors for Leroy Communications is scheduled for Thursday the 27th at 6 p.m. in Joliet, and a budget and election of an officer will occur, so have an update on the next board meeting for that. And then we also received, I don't know if the Chief wants to elaborate on it, but he applied for a grant with ComEd, Powering Safe Communities, and received $4,123 to assist us with purchasing 2 speed signs.
It's a matching grant. We have to buy one ourselves and spend 41, 43 of our own money, but they're very well needed, so.
The applications for them, are they like permanent mounts or they?
No, they're movable.
Oh,
So
they're
move them where the
Nice.
complaints are.
Okay,
And they also retain data, so we can put them in a location for a week, and it will tell us average speed of the cars, top speed, lowest speed, and everywhere in between, so they're very useful for traffic complaints, speeding and that kind of thing.
And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Okay. Public Works Committee, trustee Stacy.
Thank you, Mayor. So long about.
we'll get you through it, Raj.
Water Department's monthly report is enclosed for your review. The Sewer Department's monthly report is enclosed for your review. The Water Billing Registry for May and June billing period is enclosed for your review. We bill 55% of the water we pumped. An additional 5% is counted for our law and 30% loss. We still have no idea where 30% is going. One of the master meters could be reading incorrect. We believe our system is rather tight, so So can I explain the anomaly? Anomaly, our build pump ratio has been haunting us since 1970 when the records began.
We did,
Not all of them.
Hmm?
Some of us weren't born in 1970, so that's been haunting all of us since then.
it's been on since
Just like to point that
the
out.
ghost of superintendent's past.
Statistics.
In all honesty, we did find a serious leak on Indiana Avenue. We did fix that, and then we found another one up in Nantucket Cove, where a stainless steel clamp on a main that holds a water service on eroded away. Now, there's 168 of those in that subdivision. If that one ate away, how many of those others are leaking up there? So we got a problem, and you cannot leak detect on plastic pipe. That's one of the downfalls of having clean water. You can't trace a leak. So Matt's got his hands full on this one. We don't believe a leak is that much because it would show up somewhere, and it doesn't show up. But
On average, if you take our 60-day billing and what is it down everywhere, anywhere around 10 million gallons over those 60 days is what we're losing. It comes out to about 185,000 gallons of water a day. Our creeks would be flowing, our storm lines, our ponds would be flowing. We don't see it though. We really don't. 185,000 gallons a day is on average what we're losing according to our billing record. I don't see, I don't understand it.
is the meter inaccurate at one of the wells? Because those are big meters.
Yeah.
Sometimes
It's possible.
flow back valve won't close correctly, and that water will go back down the well shaft, but the meter doesn't spin backwards, so you've recorded that water's being pumped, but actually went back down into the well shaft. I don't know, I can't explain it,
I
but
can't
it's
either.
significant. If we ever wanted to go on Lake Michigan water, you'd have to achieve a 90% build to pump ratio to get Lake Michigan water. We're nowhere near that, so that means we're never getting Lake Michigan water, we probably wouldn't anyway. But that's kind of like the standard to get to 90%. And
With that backflow valve, it's like a pressure relief valve, we used to have them. And what it does, you're pumping, but all it does is recirculate back into the system.
correct.
So, I mean, it's.
If it
gonna
doesn't
register.
seed,
Yeah.
if the pump turns off and that valve doesn't seed back, then that water could leak back down the well shaft and go back down into the ground. And we might be
Double
metering that
reading,
water.
right.
We don't know.
So we just have the mercy, I mean, I'm not gonna pretend to know exactly how this works, but maybe we just have the mercy of our system. Is that the, I mean.
Basically,
We're not billing for 40% of the water is what this is saying,
Now,
correct?
we targeted one of the meters at well 4, and we decided we were gonna replace that meter. It cost
We did, yeah.
$12,000. We replaced it, and then the committee at that time said, you know, instead of spending $12,000 on one meter in the well, let's replace meters in the system, because we still have a lot of old meters out there, and we're not all 100% on iPearls yet.
right.
So we haven't attacked these other meters we have in these other 2 well houses, but on the basis that you're better off spending your money on residential meters. But that's your problem, Mr. Chairman. We have a meeting and discuss how to attack it.
Okay, we'll talk about that back.
Okay.
Consider authorizing the village administrator to sign a memorandum of understanding for the payment of ADA sidewalk ramps on Indiana Avenue to the county of Will for $30,000 in 2023 and $35,000 in 2024. This project has begun and the county has requested an enclosed MOU which meets our obligation from a 2004 agreement for improvements in the county right-of-way. Since MFT funds are being used for the road, the sidewalk ramps, the road have to be ADA compliant according to law. In 2004, the village did identify 26 ramps and 4 sections of sidewalks not in compliance.
I actually, hang on, I got a question for you, Bob, because I was coming from Peatone today looking at them. There's a lot of sidewalks on Indiana Avenue that don't actually turn and meet up with Indiana Avenue, they just kind of cross east to west. Do those get ignored? You only have to do the ramps for the ones that already go out to Indiana
I
Avenue,
think
or do you have to do all of those?
You have to
I
do
think-
all of them
Yeah, in the board
because,
packet, it shows exactly what they plan to do.
Okay.
because they're doing the approaches approximately 20 to 25 feet into each side road as well.
Okay.
Some of the sidewalks that you're referring to that are leading to Indiana are actually being removed and not replaced.
Correct.
Because I know, I saw they asphalted up, pretty much up to the tracks, and some of
Yeah.
the sidewalks on the other side, they never actually meet Indiana Avenue, but then I started, as I'm driving down, I'm kind of counting how many
Yeah.
pieces actually.
The laws are weird. I don't think they're addressing the issue of the steps by the railroad tracks.
They're not,
Because the law says they have to do the ramps to the roadway in the
Yep.
right of way.
correct.
That one is not. So we're spending money on an ADA ramp to a sidewalk that basically goes nowhere. But what are you gonna do?
Gotcha.
If you know where these steps are in front of the old gun store.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Indiana Avenue resurfacing project
We
update.
need a motion on that.
Oh, sorry. I'd like to make a motion authorizing the village administrator to sign a memorandum of understanding for payment of ADA sidewalk ramps on Indiana Avenue to the county of Will.
Do you need the amounts in that motion?
30,000 in 23 and the balance in 24, because we don't know if it's gonna be 65.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call?
Possession,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Genati.
Yes.
Okay, Indiana Avenue resurfacing project update.
They skipped the asphalt in town, and I don't know if that's because these sidewalks aren't done.
That is due to the railroad flagger. They're waiting to do the rest of the approaches until they do get the railroad flagger, then they can concentrate in
So
town.
it has nothing to do with these sidewalks?
It doesn't.
Okay. But they were moving, I mean, in 3 days, they went from Peatone to Beecher.
They
That
were
was
doing, I think
amazing
the
how fast they put that
final,
out.
closer to Peatone today, they were doing the final on some of that. They got
Yeah.
up to the first bridge from Route 50, because they were going kind of back and forth with the rollers on that last coat. So, but they kind of like went in a circle, it looked like. They went up to the first bridge and then went back the other
Yeah.
direction.
I would assume that by the next board meeting, this work will be done, unless the sidewalks hold them up.
It'll be close, yeah.
Okay, update on curb and sidewalk program, we spent 30,000 of the 50,000 budgeted for Indian Avenue, so remaining 20,000 this year will be spent on sidewalks, and we will forego curb repairs this year. Penfield Street Improvement Project update.
Look at Matt, because he knows.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time out there today. They got the bridge footing poured at 3 o'clock this afternoon. They're hoping to start putting wing walls in by Thursday or Friday of this week. They have to do a 2,000 PSI concrete test after 3 days of pour. If they meet that 2,000, then they're going to start putting wing walls in. The area in front of the school has been fully excavated out, sidewalks included all the way to Dixie. From the bridge, they're gonna be milling everything out tomorrow, and then regrading everything with stone and proof rolling. We have a meeting tomorrow morning with the engineers and Iroquois Paving to figure out what the next step is and how we're going to attack that with the residents in the area and things of that nature,
Do we
so.
know when that section's gonna close? Is that tomorrow?
It'll be tomorrow, yep, yeah, yep, tomorrow.
Then the moving the garbage cans and everything else will come into play.
Yeah, Iroquois Paving will take care of moving the residents' garbage cans to the nearest cross street on Monday mornings and then returning them in the afternoon. It's moving along, taking a little longer than planned, but it's definitely starting to move along now, so.
And we're gonna have the fire chief and school superintendent at a progress meeting, so.
Yep.
They have an issue, they'll be here.
Yeah, that was the only issue that was brought up so far with closing the road in sections is how to get fire apparatus down to these areas if there was a house fire or things of that nature. But IPC told them that they would give them all the needed access that they could, and they had an on-site meeting themselves last Monday or Tuesday in regards to that and got all that hashed out. So it seems like everything is working out like it should at this point.
The goal is to get off Penfield between the bridge and Catalpa before school starts.
Yeah,
That's what we wanna do.
that's the goal.
Okay, I'd like to consider a motion authorizing the letter of bids for Dixie Highway Water Main crossover project. Easements have been obtained and the engineers is about ready to lift bids. and this motion will allow this to happen. We will try to reopen bids sometime in September, and this will be a winter project. I make a motion authorizing a letter for bids for Dixie Highway Water Main Crossover Project.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Janetti?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Gardner?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Possession?
Yes. Okay, can't think about it.
Take a break. Need a cigarette?
Intermission.
Consider a revised proposal from Iroquois Paving for the amount of $169,869.91 for the installation of the storm sewer and resurfacing of the 600 block of Gould Street. $8,900 was added to the proposal because the labor and equipment cost was included in the deduction of the storm sewer materials. The proposal now reflects the work to be performed. Please see the enclosed proposal.
We tried.
We did. We
They
tried
squawked, they squawked because they said, well, wait a minute, our labor and equipment costs are in that.
11,000 in.
number, you know,
So they were or weren't?
they were. So they wanted another 8,900 to cover their labor and equipment.
So their original proposal showed 11,800 for pipe and $2,000 for storm structure inlet. Well, we decided, well, we'll just buy that stuff in-house because it's a lot cheaper for us to buy it in-house. Well, so then I subtracted the almost $12,000 off of their initial bid, signed it for 160,000, and they came back and said, no, our labor and equipment costs were included in that $11,000 or $12,000 initially, where we thought that it was all of it. So we ordered the pipe in-house, and it did come in a little less than what, because of course the contractor's gonna up.
We're still saving money.
We're saving money, but it wasn't the 11,000 that we thought we were going to. We're gonna save a couple thousand instead, so, yeah.
Okay. All right, consider a policy on replacing of pavement shoulder.
We need a motion.
I'm sorry. I need a motion to revise the proposal for Iroquois paving in the amount of $169,869.91 for the installation of the storm sewer and the servicing of the 600 block of Gould Street.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Possession?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Gardner?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Janetti?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to consider a policy for the replacement of paved shoulders. The right-of-way outside the street lanes comes in many different forms: curb, grass, stone, paved, or even concrete. Curb streets are defined, and it is clear where the pavement ends. However, non-curb streets may have paved shoulders, and there is sometimes a level of expectation that the village will resurface shoulders as well. This has not been the case in the past project. The village saw cuts traffic lanes and paves the road surface, not the shoulders, not the paved shoulders. The village, Orland Park or Oak Park Avenue, by Zion Church recently, a recent example where the church paid for its shoulders. We found that the old policy of road surfacing from 1989 in our file and enclosed it for your review, but it does not appear to be an ordinance or resolution from it, so it does not bear any weight today. Okay,
These shoulders are basically located Orchard, Meadow, Country, Woodward, where there is no defined end of the street and start of the shoulder, but 32 feet is street, and then people pave the shoulders so they can park in their front yards. This has come up, I remember this before. There's some policy that the board passed in 1989, it was signed by Landis at the time, and it's kind of clear, they said, well, if the village agrees that it should be done, they'll pay 50% of the cost. but it's at the discretion of the village. I think of that now, and I'm like, boy, I don't wanna be the chairman of Public Works and tell one neighbor, yeah, we'll do yours, and the other neighbor, now we're not doing yours. I think it needs to be consistent, and we're responsible for the 32 feet. If it's a paved shoulder and it's not a drainage structure, it's a parking spot for private residents. You know, because most of those, the people put in themselves.
Yeah, you can tell that.
Yeah. But you guys do what you want, it's your policy, you know. It will eat into your road resurfacing budget if we start paving all the shoulders.
Well, I mean, unless somebody's got an idea, should this be referred to the Public Works Committee to bring the board something?
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
This will be number 13 next time, Roger.
Okay, road servicing program for 2023. There remains $113,500 for the resurfacing patching of other streets in the village, and an update will be posted. Last item on the agenda. Consider a motion authorizing recruitment for the selection of the certified water operator in charge for the village of Beecher. Superintendent wishes to have a full-time oversight of the water system, given the size of the community and the need to maintain the present system. Contract management is critical in the short term, but our system needs a full-time operator. Equipment maintenance, well cleanliness, and chemical feeding, monitoring daily, and distribution system maintenance, hydrants, valves, B-boxes all need regular care on an annual schedule. This position is fully budgeted, and we plan to take our time with the selection. We just want the board to know the direction we are heading and get the approval.
What are you guys doing down there now? I know we have, what's the company we?
Test.
Test
Inc.
We approved last year for a 3-year contract for the testing, correct, on the lab testing? So what's going down there now?
What, the test contract that we have is to manage the water system, and their fee's $400 a month for the water, but, you're getting $400 a month of management. What they do is they come, they look everything over, look at your charts, look at the meters, everything's good, see you next month. Matt's concerned that's not the way to run a water system. We need somebody there every day to listen to the well. You can tell by listening if something's wrong, if you've got a bearing going out, or, you know, and in the long run, you're probably better off having a full-time operator on staff accountable to you instead of a contract management company that shows up once a week. They were here again today, testing.
They were?
They took a sample right out of the village hall here
Really?
Yeah,
We don't even know when they're here.
today. Yeah,
having your own is more hands-on. You can sometimes find things before it happens.
Right.
And if you have somebody that relatively knows the system well, it's just like hiring a police chief. If a guy's been a chief, you know, instead of having a company, and you're not gonna get that personal touch, you know, in relation to the community. So, I mean, personally, I think it's a good idea. I agree with Matt.
Will we still need, test incorporated done?
Not if you get, not if you get your own.
we might
operator.
still
Get a
use them for
full-time.
our lab tests, because they seem to be cheaper than suburban labs, so we might keep them for that.
Yeah.
But as far as the management and operator in charge, no, and I'll give you another example. We have a Class C operator that makes us legal if we have a water main break. We have a Class C operator on site. But if you have an emergency water situation, like 2 years ago when they bored through our main artery at Woodward and Penfield, decisions had to be made within 10 minutes to save the water system, or we would have had a total shutdown of the water system. Only the water operator can give you that. He knows what valves to hit this valve, hit this valve, hit this valve, keep this one on so we can feed this end of town. That's what you need. And Peru is not gonna give that to you. You know, we need somebody with experience.
He told me that if there was an emergency, to call him the next morning after he wakes up. That's what he
You
told
have
me
to tell you
last.
what time he wakes up, or just when you
In
get
the meantime, you guys gotta take your
There
shower.
was a
In the
schedule.
meantime, you guys have to take your shower and you turn the spigot on, and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And then this room will be full of people, and that's why we don't want that. But we're not in a rush either, because we wanna pick the right person. Yeah.
Did you wanna make
Okay,
a motion?
I'd like to make a,
You need one if it's, I mean, it's budgeted, isn't it? Do we need one?
It is, but it's a different direction than what we told you originally when we signed that contract. So what you're saying here is the test is not the long-term, solution here.
I'd like to make a motion authorizing the recruitment and selection of a certified water operator in charge for the village of Beecher.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion? Roll call?
Giannotti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Possession.
Yes. That's the end of my report, ma'am.
Economic Development Community Relations Committee, trustee session.
Thank you very much. I've only got 3 items, it's pretty nice. Tree lighting planning meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, August 2nd at 7 p.m. All trustees are invited to attend. Several organizations in town that have been involved in the past are also invited. On the agenda to discuss is the parade route, items we need to, for an 80% matching grant for $2,500 from ComEd, and other activities planned for the event. So there were a few things I wanted to get some feedback on or confirmation before that, so I'll touch those real quickly. As far as the parade route, I believe the last time we talked about this, we said we wanted to stay off of the walking path of the park. Does anybody feel differently now? I think it's a good idea personally.
It's gonna be next to impossible to get anything around there with all them light poles now anyway.
Yeah.
So we had fun getting the carnival rides and the beer truck in, so.
Alright, so we'll stay firm with that. As far as the 80% matching grant, so basically that would be $3,000 total. One of the requirements for that is that the materials purchased with the grant must be able to demonstrate a reuse case for future events, so that kind of restricts it, what we could buy, I would say specifically. A few different things I'm considering as options there. When we bought the Christmas tree, we originally said, oh, we could increase the size by getting another ring if we'd ever be interested in that. I think that another larger ring for the base might be pretty expensive, but I'm not sure what the exact cost is. Do we know that, Bob?
No, but that's gonna be about 10 grand if I remember right.
Okay, so probably out of the range then. We could get like, say, you know, if we wanna go crazy, we could get maybe like a fake snow machine, so that when we turn the lights on, we could have a whole atmosphere. And other than that, it's probably just looking at decorations, unless anybody has any sort of idea what could
What would
work.
it take to build that fire ring, and then we could use it for other events down there?
I was just talking to trustee Uzeshin about that. Crete does not use theirs anymore, and they were gonna discuss donating it to us.
Oh, well, if that's the case, okay.
Yeah.
They said we can definitely use it this year again.
It's not as much fun for trustee Kraus.
Yeah, wait, how big is this ring? I mean, I think you need to talk to the right people. Can it fit 6 pallets in it? That's what he- whatever, I'll go around.
I'm just looking for reusable items, I mean, not only for tree lighting, but you can use it for other
Mhm.
bonfire events that you may ever have. Then your
Halloween.
backdrops.
Yeah.
Halloween, yeah. Yeah, your backdrops, do we need new backdrops or
So
better backdrops?
the 2 that we have are 10 by 10. They're both in good condition. One got a little, dirty last time, but we had it dry cleaned and it looks fine. So I think there's no need to necessarily replace those. I think
Use it for signage, cause I know, like, we had before the years on there, but could we make signs without the
we
years
could
on
make
there?
signage, like permanent signs, like
Mhm.
Village of Beecher
Yeah,
Christmas tree
'cause I know
lighting.
some had
throughout
the
the
years
year.
on them, so we
Or
couldn't.
the
Yeah.
Santa chair.
That was something else I was thinking, our own Santa chair.
Yeah.
You can have the one,
Oh, yeah.
one that we have, that's yours for forever now.
These are great ideas, and all we need to do is bring them to the committee August 2nd, make up our minds if we wanna do it and submit. You have till September 1st to submit, so.
Any other ideas?
I like the signage idea.
Yeah, signage is a very good idea.
Yeah.
So, Joe, I seem to recall that at one point, I think maybe Ken was mentioning that you guys were considering some sort of adaptation for the beer stand where you'd be able to kind of close in the sides.
Yep.
Is there any way that this could help with that, or no?
I don't think it'll even be a drop in the bucket, to be
Okay,
honest with you.
gotcha.
Even just those three sides would be
It,
way,
Significantly
yeah,
more
10
expensive?
times this.
that might do like
Minimum.
2 openings,
Mm-hmm,
maybe,
okay.
probably 1.5.
So, and then like, we'll see how else it goes. Like, I've done some checking around, and municipal, like, nice Christmas decorations are actually extremely expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, we've always taken hand-me-downs for other.
yeah, what you can get is somewhat limited for 3K. So anyway, besides that, I'll just say I expect to see probably, a minimum of $250 to $300 in like one-time costs for like the types of things we'll have for the Santa's workshop. And then most likely, we'd like to offer $300 for the light parade pool, prize pool again this year. So we probably will have some ancillary costs from there that can't be covered by the grant. But other than that, I have nothing else on the tree lighting unless anybody has any topics. Seems like no. All right. Summer concert series update. Next event is the Polka Band, August 12th in the afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. Trustees on point for this event is Todd Kraus with the village president and chief volunteering to assist. Ace Cater will be providing Polish food for sale, and water, soda, and beer will also be available. And finally, Union Electronics building update. Engineering has been submitted to the engineer and it has been reviewed with comments sent back to the developer's engineer for changes. A meeting is being scheduled to review the project plans. Developer hopes to break ground on the project in August. We have opted now for a sanitary lateral in lieu of a lift station. Plans are to build out the 100,000 square feet. Bob, anything
The
you wanna
meeting is
add?
gonna be Wednesday morning at 10 in Baxter Woodman's office. I'm gonna get everybody in the room, get the issues resolved that are still unresolved by emails kicking back and forth, the typical engineering stuff. I gotta get them all in the room and beat them up, and then they all come to an agreement. It's
Excellent.
usually what happens on these projects.
Sounds good. That concludes my report.
I think you will see ground being broken on this.
Nice. All right, any old business to come before the board?
I do have one quick one. Yeah, no, it's not on the list, but and I have a new business too, probably.
Okay.
Just a note, the BYC asked if I could announce that they're setting up a Parents Night Out fundraiser at Sit and Bowl on September 23rd from 7 to 11 p.m. So they're gonna have tickets for sale in advance with more info to come on that, for buffet style food and drink and raffle baskets.
And I know you have a pending resignation that we don't have to deal with tonight, but do you have a name to replace that individual?
We don't have a name for the replacement yet.
Okay.
Any other old business? Any new business to come before the board?
Oh, just, I've been following up with Jeremy Hannon, which came up at the last meeting on that, I'll say, teen volunteer group for kind of cleaning up areas in the village. So conversations are still ongoing, but we're looking at ways that we could either partner with them or work with them even potentially through like an official village venue somehow. But it's pretty exciting. It sounds like they have a fair amount of adults and 15 or so teens that are interested in kind of doing some kind of mid to long-term volunteering, cleaning up the town and helping out.
Very nice. Anything else? We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Possession?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Gardner?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Gennady?
Yes.